I want to demote my maid of honor to being a guest because I can't feel her supports. For context, myself, female 31, my matron of honor, female 33, Kara, and my maid of honor, female 30, Jessie, are all bi. Kara and I both fell in love with men, and they are our forever partners. By the way, this comes from Sassy Potato 99. If you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So Jessie fell in love with a female 33, Naomi, and that is her forever partner. We all grew up in Christian homes because of this. Kara and I have chosen to stay pretty closeted about our spicy sleepuality. Since we are with men, we don't feel like the potential relationship rupture with our parents is worth it. However, Jessie had to come out to her parents, and she is going to be marrying a woman. Both Jessie and Naomi's families have not taken the news well, and that has caused a significant break in their relationships. I feel like this information is important due to some of the issues I am struggling with. This is about my maid of honor, Jessie, not my matron of honor. I think my maid of honor does not support my relationship, and there have been some actions that have caused hurt. I'm not saying that I have not potentially caused her hurt because we have not talked enough for me to know, and she probably doesn't know about my hurt. I know that I have to talk to her, but I am emotional and I need to process before I do anything I may later regret. But this is something I can't talk about with my friends because they are all familiar with each other, and my fiance doesn't like my maid of honor. There's a lot of issues. I met my fiance, Mike, male 33. I was just finishing grad school and was looking for jobs in my field, psychotherapy, due to it being a global pandemic. When we first started dating, we did a lot of hanging out and watching movies. I also just got a job as a therapist. I've been working full-time since I got my concussion in 2018. I was exhausted after work. In the first 6 months or so of our relationship, we really didn't go out for dates. We mostly stayed in. Jessie, who was my roommate at the time, once told me as she was heading out the door for work and Mike was over to hang out that she believes that this is not the kind of relationship that I want, that I would rather want to go out and go on dates, not hide away. To hear her lack of support when I found someone I really cared about crushed me. Mike came over to me sobbing and telling him what Jessie, my best friend and roommate, said, totally invalidating that relationship. Doesn't make any sense. Had no issues with having so many dates, just hanging out as I was often emotionally exhausted after work. I work with mostly traumatized children and really didn't feel like dressing up to go out. Not going to lie, during the work week, I am still emotionally and physically drained and want to stay home. Side note, this happened a lot where she tells me her opinion of what I want and it is not actually what I want at all. Sounds like Jessie is speaking for you or the intentions that I have, and it is not at all what I would do or would plan to do. One time, in front of a group of friends, she announced that she believed I needed male validation too much. I had been single for almost 10 years, was afraid to date because my ex-boyfriend was extremely and I didn't trust myself to find a partner that would treat me right, as I missed the red flags before. I also spent time with 2 guy friends who I had zero interest in dating and was starting to spend less time with and grew apart from, as our values were becoming drastically different. When my current roommate, Martha, moved in, she was fleeing a domestic violent relationship, and Jessie was moving in with Naomi. So Martha was going to take Jessie's room. Martha packed and moved her stuff while her partner was at work, and then told them she was leaving when they got home to partially empty the house. The plan was Martha would drive with Jessie to Naomi's house in a different province to be away for 2 weeks. This way, Martha could get a clean break and not be concerned about her safety for the initial move out. When Martha came over after telling her partner that she was leaving, I asked if while she was away, she would like me to move her boxes into the rooms that were labeled for kitchen office, and she said no, that would be fine. Jessie then says, and you shouldn't unpack her things for her while she's away. You should let her do that herself. I was like, what the F? I responded with, I would never do that. It's an invasion of privacy, and I don't know how she is going to want her space set up. Just responded, it kind of is something you would do to try to be helpful. Okay, yes, I suggested we would make Martha's bed so that she wouldn't have to worry about it when she got here, but she had brought brand new sheets and they were sitting on the bed. That's why I suggested it. I don't know. I feel like that's nice.
These are good things.
These are good. Like, I don't know why we're crucifying people for doing good things.
What universe is this bad?
If the sheets had been packed in a box, I wouldn't have suggested it because I wouldn't have to go through her stuff to find them. Mike's family came to Canada from the Middle East in the 1990s. They tended to spend a lot of time with family only or other families from the same area of the Middle East. With this, the first time Mike spent any tournament time with them, queer people, was when he started dating me, as the majority of my friends are part of the rainbow community. He had very little knowledge about what it looked like to be not straight and cis in our society, but at As this is something that affects me and my loved ones, he was willing/wanting to learn. I told Jesse about all the conversations that I was having with Mike about and gender, as he has no experience with it, and was asking questions. The response was, well, if he doesn't care to learn on his own, then he doesn't care.
But he does care.
He's literally caring.
He's asking.
I was taken aback as Mike had zero knowledge of the queer community before meeting me, and he wouldn't base that stance on his family. I felt that him asking questions was a great place to start for someone who was new to this topic. He's actually started advocating for the rainbow community within his own family, which was something I was impressed with. Because from his experience, that can be hard. In April 2023, Jesse and Naomi were visiting myself, Martha, and other friends that live in our province. And one day while we were out, Jesse states, when Mike falls into eternal sleep, you love in with another man, I'm going to be so pissed at you. Okay, one, not okay to talk about the eternal sleep of a loved one, even as a joke. And two, Mike has a degenerative condition. And if we can't go to another country to get treatment, or the treatment doesn't get approved in Canada, he's going to fall into eternal sleep before me. I can't think about that too much, or else I have an existential crisis. Yeah, I can imagine. We spent a lot of time following the current research on this condition to see what progress is being made in treatment options. Jesse knows this. And three, I cannot control who I fall in love with. My response was, why are we talking about Mike's eternal sleep? The conversation was dropped from there. Since Jesse moved out and in with Naomi, there's been a serious lack of communication between us. I will admit I'm at fault as well. When she came to visit in 2023, she apologized for being so distant and that she loved me and still saw me as a sister. I also apologized about not being good at communication and said we should work on it. The distance seemed to get worse over time, and whenever I talked with her, she would only talk about her life and never ask questions about mine, or would just lose interest in the conversation when I would talk about things in my life, especially Mike. I am the one always reaching out first, and it will sometimes take her weeks to respond to my messages, and conversations will last maybe 30 minutes. In August 2024, Mike and I got engaged.
Uh-oh.
Jesse's gonna be pissed.
She ain't gonna like that.
Jessie was one of the first people I told, and she seemed genuinely excited for me. All right, great. I was on the fence about asking her to be my maid of honor. I even asked if it was something that she would still be up for, or would she rather be a bridesmaid? She told me she was, and I decided to have a matron of honor as well, who lives close to me. Then Jessie wouldn't have to worry about trying to execute things from a different province. Her job would basically be to provide emotional support and show up. In October 2024, Naomi proposed to Jessie.
Oh.
Do you have an ICU, John?
I do have an ICU.
What's your ICU?
They're going to be like, we're getting married.
On your wedding day.
On your wedding day. And we're taking all of your wedding people, your maids, your matrons.
We're taking it all.
We're taking it all.
Give it all to me. Oh my God.
Oh God.
Jessie texted me soon after and I celebrated with her. I was happy for her and Naomi. They chose that they wouldn't officially become engaged until Jessie proposed to Naomi. But after Naomi proposed, Jessie became more distant and less enthusiastic about me in general. I get that she was now planning her own engagement. I also assume her parents were not happy for them and that it caused more damage to their relationship. I can't imagine what that would be like, especially since my parents are so involved with my wedding. My dad's performing the ceremony. I have been thinking that it could be hard for her to watch my parents and Mike's mom be involved in our wedding and be happy for us. So Jessie isn't responding to messages. I just looked and I have a message to her sitting as delivered from early December. Jessie and Martha, my current roommate, talk multiple times a week. If I walk into the room and Jessie's on the phone or on video call, I will say hi and be happy. Jessie will be like, oh, hey, and will hardly say anything or not engage in conversation at all. I've gotten to the point where I'm basically saying hi and trying to get out of the room as soon as possible. If they are having a call in the living room and I need to go to the kitchen, I have to walk through the room. What has brought me to the consideration to demote her to guest rather than bridesmaid, because she's literally not talking to you, is everything mentioned above plus things that I haven't mentioned. Also, Jessie proposed to Naomi last weekend and Jessie has not told OP yet. The only reason why I know that it happened was because Martha was involved in the proposal. So it means Jessie and Naomi are officially engaged, and if my roommate wasn't involved in the proposal, I would have no idea. I am expecting a message from Jessie telling me that she's hurt. I haven't congratulated her yet, but when she hasn't officially told me, and she has done this historically. By the way, you can listen to us at any point throughout history. If you go to our podcast, you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. There's another relevant update, but John, what do you think of this friend? This friend sounds like absolute bananas.
Honestly, it might be at the point where you sit down and you're like, hey, look, all of this stuff is happening. I feel like very disrespected by everything you said. I don't know. I feel like if OP like looks herself in the mirror, she'd probably be like, I don't know that this friendship is doing anything for either of us at this point.
I mean, yeah, I think opening up that conversation and
Yeah.
being, I think saying exactly what John said, and maybe it gets better. I'm struggling with this due to the fact that I have known Jessie for so long and have imagined being my maid of honor. I also think I am holding on to a relationship that doesn't exist anymore with some of the comments that she has made. I don't think she supports my relationship. So why would I have someone who doesn't support my relationship stand by me? Again, obviously we need to talk and we need to have a real conversation. I'm just hoping for an outside perspective to see if I am just too caught up in my feelings to make a good choice. So would I be the a-hole for demoting her to guest?
I don't even think you'd be the a-hole for ending the friendship, because it just seems like it's gone closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to that place. And there's got to be a point where it's like, hey, this ain't doing anything for either of us.
Yeah.
So let's just cut
She's
our
not
ties.
supporting you in your most important relationship.
Low key, like, do you feel, I would imagine being in OP's position, like, oh, just having her at the wedding period feels a little bit of like a drain. I'm like, she's going to be here. She's been hating on my relationship the whole time. Why would I want her to celebrate it, uniting for a lifetime?
No, not. I mean, it's done nothing but just. I think she's done nothing but just been an absolute